Hello and welcome to the Globetrottin ADs. Since 2019, a way for athletic directors, activity coordinators, coaches, and friends to connect and collaborate no matter where they are around the world. We hope that you enjoyed the podcast and share it with anyone you think will enjoy it as well. And now, let's get this episode started.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Globetrottin ADs, episode 13 of the season 6. And it's that time of year where we're looking back and reflecting a bit, and we're going to talk about some surveys that are going to be coming out that Nick is putting together. It's been a while since we've done one, right, Nick? But we're going to talk a little bit about how that's gone in the past. It's a great opportunity to provide some feedback of what happens in your school, or if there's issues you feel are impacting your job, or or maybe even enhancing your job. This is a cool survey to complete, so we can all share information to make our lives a little better. I think that's what we're doing, right, Nick?
You got it, man. That was perfect. that was perfect. And it has been a while, and I'm always surprised. The last survey was 2023, around spring. So I always send them out around spring, and then you have basically till the end of the year to fill it out and share it and make sure more people fill it out, and then results come out in the fall. But it's going to be the fourth time that we've done an AD survey, which is pretty crazy. I think 2019, before we were even the Globetrottin ADs, before we picked out this awesome name, we put that out and shared it around, and so the 2019, 2021, 2023, and now. And,
I'm really looking forward to seeing what the results will be, because so much has changed, of course, since 21, 23. A lot of those topics, I'm sure, were COVID heavy related. So there's still some knock-on effect of things I'm sure will pop up, but the landscape has changed a lot just in the last 2 years, right? So I'll be eager to see what kind of feedback people are going to reply up and report back to us about.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I had a conversation with someone today about it, and they were like, well, isn't it always the same answers? And it's I'm like, well, no. Because we've had some pretty big moments in that time, like 2019 first time, 2021 was all COVID, and 2023 was just, getting back. Most people were back, but a lot of the answers reflected on the COVID time and what's changed and what's the same and what they're struggling with because of COVID. Yeah. So now it could be, I don't know, the first time since 2019, a normal responses, that aren't swayed by these massive world events. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And we definitely want to mention too that there's a coach survey. It'll be the second time I did a coach survey, so 2023 and now. So I'll send them both out. If you're an AD and a coach like Matt and I, then you should fill them both in, because obviously you're going to look at some of the questions differently when you're thinking if you're a coach, or maybe your concerns are different. But I really liked the coach survey because I felt like the AD survey was for us to compare, but then maybe share with our bosses or other people that don't know what the job's like, kind of like, this is what we're worried about. This is our industry. And for the coach one, I really liked it because I wanted to use that as a tool to help the coaches and help the program. I was really interested in what not just my coaches think, but then all the coaches. And I could use that and say, it's not just our coaches that are worried about spending time with kids in a hotel. It's everybody around the world. So what can we do to make it better?
And that's what's great about it. You never know what could come out of it. We'll talk a little bit in a minute about how many responses we got back in the previous years, but this is a good opportunity to be an idea thief, if you will, because maybe you'll find somebody else doing something really well that worked, or
Right.
something that's worked really well, and why not try it if it's going to help your situation?
Yeah, and that's what I like. If you filled it in before, it'll feel pretty much the same. Some of the questions are the same, asking you to pick your top concern. So I try to keep it short, but then obviously give space to elaborate. And it's really great when people do take the time and write the whys. Why did they pick this as their top concern? And I write an article about it after, and I try to use some quotes from people. So if you do put your name, you don't have to. You may be in the article for better or for worse. Some people wrote a lot of things the last year and said, please don't put my name in the article, but use what you want. That's also okay, and
Yeah.
also understandable, right? So that's
So
yeah.
so give us an idea, because I know you mentioned you've added some more stuff to some new stuff or new concerns to the list.
Yep.
Um, Maybe you want to give us a little sneak peek about what that's about.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because you can always write in a concern, like if it wasn't there, say it. But whatever I list is usually what gets chosen, right? Because you just read it and think, yeah, that's it. So I've added some more things like transgender issues is going to be on there as a concern you can pick. Keeping your student athletes safe. Not too many deal with local communities. I've added a few more things for ADs, not a ton. But then for the coaches, a lot of the feedback and a lot of people wrote in other concerns, because last year was the first time, or 2 years ago. So I added in questions like a top concern for a coach could be following or knowing all the protocols that you have, right? Pressure from school to practice educational based athletics, competition for athletes with club teams, right?
Hmm.
And then one person wrote this, but it was great, and I thought, yeah, that's an issue a lot of people have, selecting team award winners. So it's also a neat thing when I look at the concerns of it's what people are concerned about, whether it's your top concern or not. I think looking at some of these maybe gives you a better perspective too. Like, wow, I don't really care about that, but yeah, I can see how other people that really
Yeah.
it's really an issue for. Yeah, pressure to
Yeah.
fulfill coaching requirements. And I think that could be a good one for me. How many people, I try to be conscious of all the things you ask or make coaches do, but it could be quite daunting for people, right? All the things. Don't forget this. Don't forget that. That's really important. If you don't do
Yeah.
this, then, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I know. It's interesting because I just had these discussions today, because safeguarding's of course a big topic, as always, more and more each year it seems. And we did a little inventory, or just a sharing of what are we doing? Are we doing enough? Like when we're onboarding coaches, for example.
mhm,
And I looked, and we send out 6 documents and a video.
right.
So any prospective coach who's going to join us, when we onboard them, and the video is a comprehensive safeguarding video they have to watch. Is about 15 minutes long, but
Hmm.
covers our policies and how we do things, and
Yeah,
And so the question is still coming up, like, are we being thorough enough? Are we being,
right.
like, that's pretty thorough, I think.
Yeah,
And we're not experts in this field either, right? So
right.
I'm not sure, how much can we really add to what needs to be done, or what they're asking for. I think it's
Right.
going to fall probably on the specialist.
Yeah, and no coach, or at least no coaches for us. It's not their full time job. They all have another job, whether it's in the school or not. And this is after their work day, right? So it's tough what you ask them to do, and what if you're going to remember it all. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to talk about our top concerns, but that, Matt, your point and how you mentioned that there is exactly one of the reasons that I'm going to pick for one of my top concerns. Um, that's interesting. Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the last time? Kind of a little bit of the breakdown, how it went?
Yes, absolutely. The last 80 survey, 93 people filled it out, and Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a good portion of international school ADs around the world. That was about the same as in 2021. But as every year, I'm hoping there's going to be more. I hope ADs share it out and make everyone in your conference fill it out. Reach it to new conferences. I've met a lot of new people in Asia this year, so hopefully that spreads because it's
Yeah.
always European heavy. There are a lot of schools here, yes, true. We are in Europe also, but last year out of the 93 responses, 40 were from Europe. So good on the home continent, but we want to spread it out.
Yeah. Maybe our friends hosting the IAAC
Yes.
could have spread the good word. Maybe have a time or something they could,
Yeah.
you
Ask
know,
everyone to fill it in.
they want to fill it in or do some work related to it somehow. That'd be great.
I will
We could
absolutely send it to Joe.
facilitate that, but it's not
Yeah.
going to happen this year. So if any of our partners are out there and willing to
Right.
maybe get into that and have a session where you go through this, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. It was neat. I did a session. Funny enough, I did a session about the coaches one the first time at a conference and talked about it, and then got the opinions of the about 30 people in the session to some of the things, and I used that to write the article. And most of the people in the room hadn't filled it in, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, I will absolutely share it with Joe, and
Great.
yeah, see if they can find some time just to if it's in a program, they can put a QR code and put it in their little handout and say, hey, fill this in between sessions, fill this in. So thankfully, more coaches filled it in because there's way more coaches out there than ADs, right?
Yeah.
But still European heavy. So there was 156 coaches that filled it in, and 100 of those were from Europe. So I I don't know. I want to set my sights pretty high. I think we could at least double that. At least double that from 2023.
Yeah, well, I think we could hit 300.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I have 40 or so or more.
Yeah.
So when you think about it that way, if I just have to make sure all my coaches fill it in, right? And that's the thing. Yeah, ask for the name, but you don't have to fill it in like any survey. I think it should be
Sure.
unanimous if you want it to be. Yeah, you can only hope. But I think it does help us all, right? It does help. It helps the coaches, even if the coach is looking at the coach survey to see, like, wow, I'm really concerned about this, but no one else is. Like, really low response on that one. Maybe I should not worry about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, who knows?
great.
Yeah, yeah. And funny with the coach one, after COVID, like we mentioned, that was a top concern of coaches, being constantly on duty. Right, was a lot of conferences went to hotel stays. So I wonder if that's going to remain a top concern, or if those coaches realize maybe hotels aren't so bad. So time will
What do
tell.
you think? It's interesting actually. Your
Yeah,
school still requires hotel stays
yeah,
for sport trips, and we do not. Our major conference for end of season events, we're moved back to housing. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you my day. Today is the 31st of March. It's a Monday. And today I spent about an hour planning a tour in Prague from after a softball game, hotel, subway, into town, check out the clock, go to dinner, walk back across the Charles Bridge and up to the castle, get back on the subway, go back to the hotel. So it was
did you do an
awesome.
assessment?
I no, no the risk assess. Yes, in my head, I've been to Prague. I'm thinking pickpockets, big
Yeah,
group, of course, all those things. But it's worth it. So I think that's
yeah,
great, and that was an awesome hour. I got some help from Anthony in Prague, and then I wrote some people in Czech, and it's great. So I'm gonna take a high school softball and middle school softball team on a cultural excursion and dinner in downtown Prague. And
and you could what you should do.
mhm,
Use your friend Chat GPT to come up with the historical sites information
there you go.
as a
Give them a little tour, a real
there you go.
tour, and a quiz. Yeah, because I have a month till the trip. So I got lots of time for that. But I say it, and Matt, you see me smiling. I think it was well worth it, and I'm excited about it because I know all those kids are going to get to see the main sites in Prague and get an experience. And if we were being housed, some of them would do that for sure. Some of the parents would take them in and
Yeah.
would do that, but not everybody, and probably not even nowhere near half. A few would.
Yeah.
So, that's one example, and that's a really, let's say, easy thing for me to be able to do. So yeah, that's a benefit. And if it wasn't me planning a trip into town for them, I'd be planning it into town for the coaches and myself, and we'd probably hit some different spots than we would with the team. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the kids for that. So yeah, it's just the right how you look at stuff, right? Of course, I'd rather go in and have a couple beers, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the concerns, Matt.
Kukri Sports is a clothing brand that specializes in providing the world's most prestigious schools with bespoke made and designed team uniforms. If you're frustrated by inconsistent colors, branding, costs, and sizing across your teams, then it's time to email someone at Kukri Sports today. When you email contact@kukrisports.com, tell them about the Globetrottin ADs, and you'll receive a special offer on your coach or PE staff order.
The concerns are out there, and I always list the top concerns. Last year for the AD was increased workload and expectations. But it's interesting to read, and of course, I read every answer. I don't put every answer into the articles and things. So I'm interested to know, Matt, what is, or you can say two at least, what is your top concern from the list, and why? Or should I go first?
You go ahead, go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So there's 25 on the list, and like I mentioned, you can write in your own. But Matt talked about his onboarding with his coaches and how it's 6 documents and a video. My top concern is retaining coaches.
Mm.
And I've seen people drop off in the last few years, and I've brought in a lot of new people. So I'm not too concerned about getting qualified coaches, which I know a lot of people are. I'm concerned about it. It's just not one of my top. But I don't want them to leave because there's so much onboarding, and you feel like you put in so much effort into these new coaches. I want them to stay, right? I don't want to waste that time. I put air quotes on the waste because it's not a waste when you're bringing someone new, even if it's for the season. But that's my concern, is retaining coaches. And people have different reasons for not wanting to coach. Of course, there's the move away, and they're getting a job at another school. You can't really do much about that. But that's the one, because of all the work it takes to get a coach up to speed into your program. I feel like they almost need a couple seasons with you before you really consider them, solid or someone you can depend on, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, retaining coaches is definitely my number one.
Yeah. Yeah, because people come and go, and I would say for us an issue too, and it comes up every year too, is the stipends involved or the pay. Is it worth their? I've run into issue this year where I thought I had a coach, local coach on board. I wanted to bring him in to run some off-season training for a soccer program for middle school kids, just like once a week, maybe twice a week, can't remember. But I told him, what my budget would allow to pay for a stipend, and he's like, "Oh, I can't, I can't.
Yeah.
It's not worth the time, basically." So
Yeah.
that's something I think I would put down too. Like what, and I don't know what the magic number is too, or what is it worth for a local person to come out to our school to train. That's something I would love to know. Don't have a crystal ball to kind of get an idea what that number is, that magic number, but that would be a concern related to coaches, is like how retention and getting them on board, keeping them, keep them happy too, right?
Yep.
I always try to help them and keep them happy with support as much as I can. But the money is important. It's
Yeah.
not the reason, but it's important.
Yeah.
So, but I think in looking at this list, what pops out to me, considering what this year has been about, I would say increased workload and expectations.
Yeah.
And because of all the layers that are getting added on to the job now. I mentioned
Yeah.
about all the stuff I got to send out to onboarding coaches.
Right.
Well, just as much stuff is getting put onto us
Yeah.
for, making sure we're getting people in place with the safeguarding issues, and when you're planning the trips, making sure you're meeting guidelines for the safeguarding. And there's a lot of layers. Just seems like there's more and more layers these days that we have to add into and work through to make the things happen.
Right. And you don't have an assistant AD, right?
No.
So maybe this is a thing, right? You could share this with the higher ups. Not that it's going to be the thing that it may be the thing that tips the scales. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we'll see, because it's been a hot topic, I think, recently. More so at our place, about consolidating our offices and getting more
Yeah.
centralized their activities, and athletics programs. We're a little bit scattered in the building physically.
Hmm.
Philosophically, we try not to be, but stuff happens program wise where we're
Yeah.
not always on top of each other, what's going on. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what the responses are going to be, though, from the others. So those are my top two.
Yep. One of my newest ones so it would be my number two, I think. But it wasn't on my radar really till the last 2 years, is getting enough games. And we've really, because of the schools around us, no fault of them, and you included, Matt. There's certain teams where we're not getting the games that we want, like 11-a-side soccer.
Yeah,
So many
especially for the
schools,
girls, it's always tough.
yeah, gone to 7-a-side, or just some of the schools don't have high school girls teams, and the local clubs are just having a hard time playing us. So, yeah, I'm putting some things in place. I've been working hard to get to clubs that I don't know. I've asked all the kids if they play on any club, what club it is. Give me your coach's number, and then at least that way I can be like, hey, you're Carl's coach. Carl plays for us as well. Come play a game. It'll be really fun. Trying to just work any contact I can. But it's not every sport, but there's a lot of sports that are getting harder and harder. And boys B volleyball. No one has a boys B volleyball team except for you, I think, around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I've been making more conscious of that, also because kids have been complaining, right? I think, to call it what it is. Varsity soccer sees how many games varsity basketball gets and says, what are you doing to make sure we get more games? We haven't had enough. So that's cool. They want to play. They want to compete. So that's fine with me that they're complaining about that or making sure I'm on it. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah, also with the short seasons, I would just say, like soccer, there's clubs they play all year, right? All the people around us, and they'll be like, "Yeah, okay, we got time in December. No, we're not playing."
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about in May? No, we're not playing.
Yeah.
So
And then they scratch their heads like, well, why not?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
Budapest doesn't do it.
Oh, well,
Okay.
oh well. All right, man. Well, listen. I think the surveys are super important. I know a lot of people out there, and I know that a lot of people have been filling them in for years. So I really appreciate that. I think it's something unique that we can do and really compare around the world. And I really hope people share it out. Get on your colleagues. Get on your coaches. They could do it in 5 minutes if they want.
Sure.
Easy.
And tell us what about the launch, like where it's going to be, how you're going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, well, just with this episode, this will kind of give a little context to it for especially anyone new or that, but I'll have the links out with this episode. I'll put it out in a newsletter. I think now's a good time, April before the break, and then I'll hit some reminders out. Some people that I know well will get some special responses, or hopefully will get the word out for me, and I'll remind people by name. Otherwise, I'll just send these mass things out, put them on social, stuff like that. So I also depend on everybody out there to share.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, folks, be on the lookout for Nick's survey. And please spread the good word. Let's see if we can hit 300 responses for the coaches and for the ADs. Maybe we'll get some more too.
Yeah, maybe 150. That'd be great. That's another
150. We had 93 in 2023, mostly in Europe, 24 from Latin America, 23 from Asia. It would be great to see more from Asia. So if our friends out in Asia, like I said, the conference, the IAAC, if you guys are available to do that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, agreed.
And Africa had a handful, as well as the Middle East. So
yeah, no, it's growing. It's growing. And it's great.
Yeah, people.
Great. And could be next time with Easter coming up, Matt. The next episode could very well be you and I at Beaver Brewing Company here in Vienna, true. Right? Could be.
That's right. Plans are in the works.
Yeah.
Any of our friends out there want to join for the live studio audience, please let us know.
Monday. Well, anyone from the DVAC for sure. But what was it? Monday, April 26th. Does that sound right? No calendar in front of me. Something like that. We're going off book here. Monday, April 21st. Yeah.
No.
I think so. Just write me.
28th.
28th.
28th of April. I'll be there. The meeting's on 29th, Tuesday.
Yes. Correct.
So.
We got it. We came around to it.
All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us, and get those surveys done.
This has been another episode of the Globetrottin ADs. We hoped you enjoyed it. And until the next episode drops, head over to globetrottin80s.com or visit us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.